Hello and welcome to the Be Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast. I am meeting, or I should say, I am welcoming to the show because we have already met before, Marat Maayan. Welcome to the show, Marat.
Hi, B. Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thank you. And your backdrop, it gets me every time. I'm like, where are you exactly? But I know you're in Tel Aviv in Israel, but this backdrop is like the first time we met, I was like, where are you exactly? It's just such a great moving backdrop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to, at least skip some of the background of the vacations
Yeah,
during the work as well. So
yeah.
yeah, it's kind of giving you a nice vibe.
Yeah, it's good vibes. It's certainly good vibes. Well, it's summer here, so it's good. It's good for me. It makes me want to get into that water. But anyway, let's get into it, Marat. So you're the founder and CEO of Airovation Technologies, and you're going to have to go with me, and the audience is going to have to go with me on this because there's some tongue twisting words, and I haven't been that great today with getting all these words out. So if I get it wrong, you can correct me. But like I said, founder and CEO of Airovation Technologies, which is a climate tech company developing circular economy solutions for heavy industry. I've said you're based near Tel Aviv. And you lead teams converting legacy industrial waste, most notably phosphogypsum.
Yeah, you were right. It's phosphogypsum. Yeah, that's how it's
Phosphogypsum, there
called.
you go. Into low
Yeah,
carbon products such as precipitated calcium carbonate and sulfuric acid, whereby helping operators cut CO2, reduce raw material extraction, and remediate long-standing environmental stockpiles. You're also a veteran of Israeli military services who later shifted to climate impact, and I know you've got a story around that as well. And your leadership emphasizes moving beyond technology first to a value chain perspective. And you and I talked a bit about that when we met
yeah.
pre end of last year, whereby building local clusters and cross-border collaborations so solutions pencil both environmentally and economically. And under your direction, Airovation has progressed from R&D through international pilots, including Korea and Japan, towards semi-commercial small site development with active interests across Europe. I'll put in brackets Australia because you're hoping that I get this out, spread the word, and obviously being in Australia and other regions. But what I love the most is that your work addresses real world humans, and I think that is so important in today, and as we move into 2026 while we're in it. From gypsum dumping that affects marine life and communities, and our marine life and our communities are so important, to the broader challenge of scaling climate tech in a resource-intensive AI accelerating world. I'm going to hand it over to you to tell us a bit about your journey, and then
Okay.
we'll come back
Thanks.
to how you responded to my question when I give any questions later.
Thanks, B. Thanks.
You're
So, thanks for all this very detailed introduction.
I had to get it right.
You didn't left me much.
Oh, sorry, I've just lost you. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry, I lost you for a second. Yep, got you now. Yep.
So I'm saying you've done a great job. I need to just put some cherries on the pie. Most of the work is done. So I will take you a little bit back. As you mentioned, my first career was 27 years in the military. So I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist. I think I know how to build a good teams of very kind of heterogenic people that coming from different expertise and take them to kind of a walk in the fog. Okay, I'm taking them to kind of unknown reality, something that we have to develop with a goal going forward. So I think that's what I actually know how to do. I'm not sure that I'm a great manager. Okay, so and another thing that you're taking from the military, it's also the clear understanding that you are not the center of the universe.
No.
Okay. Now you need to serve. You need to wait, kind of spend your time here on this globe to do something meaningful, not only for you, but also for your community, your planet. It's something that really have some meaning. It's not logical that you are here just to, to consume oxygen. Yeah, you have to do with your time some good things, very
Mm.
simply.
I
Okay,
like that.
so it's kind of a deep drive that's kind of embedded in you when you are, serving your country for a long period. And with that, when I retired, well, a little more than 10 years ago, I decided that we're going forward and building a startup. So yeah, many people are asking me, and reading the book of Startup Nation and asking about Israel, how
Yeah.
Israel is such a tiny, and you have such a huge amount of startups coming up. So I think first of all, you need to have a lack of, okay, to move forward. You have to move from your comfortable zone.
Mm.
You have to have lack of something. So
Mm.
Israel is tiny, so we have a lack of land. We previously was having lack of water, and couple of wars was on water. People are not really knowing it, but wars was on water.
Mm.
Okay, and now of course the technology developed. Now we have those technology that can take and sweetness the seawater, and it's not any problem anymore. And because we don't have a land, so a lot of agriculture was developed in desert, developed in indoor farming, in increasing the yields very much because you don't have this, you don't have Australia behind you, this endless kind of size of country.
Yeah.
You're really, really tiny. You can cross Israel from east to west in less than 1 hour drive.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh my God, I've got to get to
less
Israel.
than.
I've never been. How bad's that? I really want to go. Like, I have to come visit.
It's a big no-no. First of all, you highly recommended to come and invited, and I'm looking forward to have you
Thank
here,
you.
and you will highly enjoy. But it's very tiny country. It's like a little bit kind of thin, and it's from west to east. It's around 1 hour top, even less, and from south to north, it will be maybe between 5 to 6. Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Now, so we had a lot of challenges, as you know, for many years, and
Mm.
recently also we face it very strongly. Not all our neighbors are accepting us here,
Mm.
and it's also brought this kind of lack of, and the lack of pushing you out of those, frame that you get comfortable in to look for solutions.
Yeah.
And and that's maybe a big part of why Israel is generating so much startup in medicine, in science, in
Huge.
defense, in cyber, name it.
In media,
Okay.
like even in media, like yeah,
It-
I've met
it-
so many people from Israel in the last, since I started the pod, like in February of last year. Yeah, I had
and
no
Israel,
idea.
and because this is in some sense, this is our main power, Israel investing heavily, more than any other country, double than US of the GPD, the GPD of the country
Mm.
invested in R&D.
Mm.
Okay. This is why NVIDIA, three of the chips of NVIDIA, of the five chips that they are using today for all the AI, came from here. And the endless examples.
Mm.
So I think, of course, lack of it's one of them. The second is very culture issue that called embracing failure.
Yeah, I was about to say that's every founder, every entrepreneur I've spoken to out of Israel has, and I was waiting for you to say that, or I was going to ask you because they've said that like the fact like embracing failure, like
Embracing
it's
failure.
incredible.
It's written in the Bible, trial and error.
Yeah.
Trial and error equal learning. This is written in the Bible. So, it's something that in our culture, the debate kind of approach, the debate culture, the ability to express yourself, even and being grown, it's fine. Okay, being grown, it's fine. It means that you are trying, you are thinking, you're challenging something. So with all of that, I went forward and I said, okay, let's kind of look on something that are of course, a global need, not just a local need. We started at the beginning the journey from a little bit more kind of things that are was close to me in a public safety approach. So trying to create technology that will able to convert toxic smoke to breathable air. Okay, this was the first step of us. And through this kind of through this goal, I managed to bring scientists from the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, and actually for a while we was burning a lot of IKEA furnitures in my backyard, trying to figure it out what you have in the smoke and how you're managing with that. And in the end, it came to be the conclusion that we have to develop mineralization technology. So we are mineralizing those elements in the gases like CO2, like CO, through a chemical process. So it's not filtering, it's chemical processes.
Yeah, right.
Sorry?
No, I said yes. Yeah, right. Yeah, I was just.
Yeah. So it's kind of it is a kind of research that I managed to bring those scientists that were willing to work with me in the first steps. And as we matured going forward, I think a couple of things happened. First of all, we managed to mature our first generation of technology, improve it, and then from that end, we managed to bring investors involved. In the beginning, Israeli, American investors and angel investors, and then we kind of we moved and matured actually in the last 5, almost 6 years in Korea and Japan.
Wow.
So Israeli base, we have subsidiary in Seoul, we're maturing in Korea, Japan. Korea, it's kind of a quite tough school on the cultural level, Korea and Japan, they're not embracing failure. They really hate failure. Okay.
Yeah.
They
Very
don't like to be.
precision. Yes, I've worked with the Japanese before, and I loved it. With Asahi Beer, I worked with them. Yeah, and it was and I spent a bit of time in Japan from a business perspective. Yeah, they
They're great.
love. What I noticed, what I observed, working with the Japanese and beautiful people as well. But just the like research and just the digging and like you just keep going. And I remember once I was like, we need to stop. We're spending all the money on the research. Like, we need to now execute. And they're looking at me like, what is she talking about? This Australian girl. Because I'm just like, just stop. That's enough. We've got enough validation of this project. Let's go. I think, I don't know if you observe that.
I know exactly what you're saying. From their perspective, they kind of, when we're having some drinks and meeting on the dinners, they're saying, you Israeli, you seeing 5% of chance. You go from your perspective, it's a green light. Let's go forward. From our perspective, we're seeing 95%.
No, I know.
Of okay, and only 5% it's no. For us, it's a red flag. We have to stop.
Yes.
So it's a different culture, but in some sense, it's also very complementary.
Yeah.
Because you have a huge amount of conglomerates there that are really have a huge amount of engineering scientists for scale. They have this kind of a gap from 0 to 1. They great, and they're saying it, they bring it to 1, we will take it from 1 to 100. That's what we know how to do well. So yeah, we matured there in Korea, Japan, and now it's scaling. And as we matured, I think it's kind of a roller coaster that you are riding, and sometimes when I'm not sleeping well, and my kids or my wife are seeing me not sleeping well, they're saying, "You chose it, okay? It's your choice."
I know.
So you can't blame no one. We are in this small percent of lucky people in the globe that we are doing what we really want to do. We have the choice to choose where we're putting our efforts and our energy. So we need to remember it every morning that we're waking up. If we're in good shape, great. Our family are right, excellent. Now it's a bonus. We're doing what we want. It's most of the population around the world not at that stage.
No.
Think about it.
It's so true. And I just read a stat before, and actually just popped up in my feeds, and it was the stat was around women, but like from 40, like the most the most amount of entrepreneurs at the moment are 45 to 54-year-old women. I'm like, I'm right in the sweet spot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but they've only
Hmm.
like they're becoming entrepreneurs at this age, because they've had all their experience and they're ready. Like, even like you talking from like your background in military services, like I think that your experience, your lived experiences put you in such good stead because, I loved your comment around walking in the fog. And we talked about this last time around this uncertainty and we're in this non-linear. As an
Hmm.
entrepreneur, you're revolutionizing, as an industry, and you're walking in the fog a lot of the
All the
time,
time.
all the time,
Yeah,
right? And
all
so
the time,
like
all the
I feel like
time.
I'm walking through the fog, most days as well. And I think that's why I get so much from these conversations because it's like, oh no, it's okay. It's all good. Like I've seen a little bit of clear space, like the fog's cleared up here.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I can go back into the fog and I'm okay again. And I think that it's really relevant, right? Because anyone who is shaping or revolutionizing or trailblazing in this new world, you have to be
So
able to do that.
I think I told you last time that I think one of or maybe the most kind of sentence that I admire from Albert Einstein, and he's a great physics, but the sentence that I really really like of him that he said that imagination is more important than knowledge.
Yeah,
Okay, so think about imagination. Imagination, it's on in your mind. Okay, it's completely not something solid. It's not something. It's completely fog. Okay, if you want to realize it, so it's fog in your mind, in your head, and now you form it and you imagine it, and from that, from those ideas, you're taking it to reality.
yeah, absolutely.
So I think most of the people looking to get kind of some confidence, some
Yeah.
hold something, to grip something. Okay,
Control. Well, it's
Con-
your, yeah, sorry, you go.
control exactly. People
Mm,
don't like to be out of control.
no.
And my colleagues in Japan and Korea, they really this is something that I'm telling them only when we are had enough drinks between us. I'm giving the kind of a
Kanpai, kanpai.
exactly. And then after like 10 compines, I can tell them, guys, I can tell you a secret that I'm fully emotional. I'm not doing any rational decisions. I'm doing only emotional decisions. So they kind of completely made them crazy because they were feeling very difficult to come with the idea that you're doing emotional decisions. But yeah, we are doing emotional decisions.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
In the reality
yeah,
all our decisions emotional, and then we're throwing some rational around those decisions that we already
yeah,
took. Think
absolutely.
about it. You can
Uh,
take it from everything, from your relationship in your family, out to your job, out to any decision that you're really looking at. And it's hard to admit it, and I think I have enough white hair in my head to admit it already. But yeah, this is kind of how I see the reality. And because of that, maybe I'm trying to challenge very difficult tasks.
yeah, you are.
Okay.
Absolutely. You haven't picked an easy task like to challenge. Because I do want to understand and explore with you a little bit more about this value
Yeah,
chain.
I will go and explain the tech a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
and the value chain as well, Marat. I'd love to understand like
exactly,
what your, yeah. Thank you.
exactly. So, you know, if you're taking the branding, the nice wording, climate tech, clean tech, all of that out and just kind of clean it and see what you left on the plate, you actually, the need is to try to, or let's say, try to create enough tools that will enable industrial manufacture to manufacture things, okay, material, goods, and others, or even, support the energy that needed for our software in more circular, economical, and environmental way.
Mm,
Okay.
Can you
So I'm
explain,
saying,
sorry, can you please explain circular economy economically?
yeah,
Because I know that you said it's been around for ages,
yeah.
but I was like, oh, interesting. Yeah. And just for the audience, I think it's really important.
So
Mm.
why I mentioned circle and economical before environmental, okay? So I'm coming from, climate, why I'm not shouting, hey, guys, let's be green, let's be environmental. Let's look at our reality, okay? We have a parallel worlds. We have a physical world and we have a digital world, okay? And our existence really need core materials. We
Mm.
consume food, we consume concrete, we consume energy, fuel. All of that are real materials. Okay. And it's in some sense not mature, or let's say not serious approach to say, let's put all these costs of existence of humanity, okay, let's put all this all our existence on the shoulders of the one of this 10% of the manufacturer that are really manufacturing, commodities.
Mm.
It's really not reasonable. Those guys that manufacturing those materials, in most of the cases, they have very small margins. Okay, they're very big entities, but they have very small margins. And it's not reasonable that we'll blame them, and all the guys that have a chimney, we will face a finger on them and say, hey, you are the bad guys, you to blame. No, he's not, they're not to blame. Okay, we need to find a way to work with them.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the issue that I'm touching, the circular way. So in many countries, and I think one of the leading countries in that end is actually China, I think waste it's already out of the vocabulary. Okay, there is something that they're not looking at anything as a waste. Okay, so the idea of waste, of processes that creating byproducts, and those byproducts are piled,
Excuse me.
they really already took it out of their thoughts.
Mm.
They really running very fast, and in this case, they have, as a non-democratic country, they have some advantage because they can build a long plans,
Yeah.
and they executed well, very well, because they decided. You don't have this kind of all kind of issue that we have in the Western world or in democratic world, that our politicians and our decision makers making very short decisions for 4 years and get the credit for what they decided, and by that you don't have a really strategic plans going forward well. So and on that end I am admiring China. I have a lot of things that I would prefer to stay Israeli, but at that point, at that end, when we're looking on industrial infrastructure, they're doing it very well, and they're doing it very circular.
Mm.
And this is one of the things that I really saw maybe 8 years ago when I was visit China. You're going to kind of you don't have a dumping places of waste. It's those factories that are processing the waste and making energy from the waste, and everything. It's kind of go back to use. Okay, and this is something that was very kind of impressing
So that's the
approach.
circular piece, right? Like there's no such thing as
Exactly.
waste because
It's a
before it
circle
becomes a
approach.
waste, it's basically recirculated, if you like. I'll use
You're
that
right. You're
language.
right.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
some sense it's recycling, but it's more than recycling. It's reuse.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's reuse, and so that's kind of how is how I see the things. But let's go a little bit deeper and understand very basic need. Our population globally growing. Okay, it means that we'll need to support agriculture and food,
Mm.
very basic. Okay, and maybe more and more vegetarian food because having animals for this amount of people, it's become very, very challenging. Saying that, Australia is supporting a lot of meat to the world. I'm personally eating meat, so I'm fine with Australian meat. but but saying that, it's still, as a population growing up, it's become more and more challenging, not only environmentally. It's environmentally challenging, but it's also a level of costs and
Yeah.
water usage and others. So We need agriculture, we need to grow crops, and for that we need fertilizers. It means that we need to mine elements like phosphate. Australia actually have quite a lot of phosphate potentially in mining, but so mining phosphate and then processing the phosphate. And except gold, most of the metals that you can find in nature are actually comes attached to a calcium. Okay, in the nature they are fixed in the calcium, so it's calcium phosphate. Okay, so once you're mining it, it can be calcium copper or calcium phosphate. Never mind what kind of metal. Okay, I think except gold. Gold are kind of different, but yeah, this is why gold is gold. But after you're mining it, you need to separate this calcium, okay, from the phosphate and get the phosphate to become a fertilizer, a phosphoric acid that goes and mix and become a fertilizer. And in that case, in this process, you have to processing it with sulfuric acid. The sulfuric acid created from sulfur that comes from crude oil, okay, refinery, and by that you're getting those byproducts. And this is what you had some hard time to remember the name, the phosphogypsum.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. The gypsum, the yeah.
Phosphogypsum, yeah. So it's a gypsum, okay, calcium sulfite. It's a gypsum for any other gypsum like my new natural-based mine gypsum or synthetic gypsum that come from coal power plants. There's several types of gypsum that all of them can be in our use. But let's talk about the most or the worst gypsum. This is the phosphor one. Okay, so the phosphogypsum comes with a lot of impurities. Okay, so first of all, it's byproduct of the fertilizer. So as we need more food, as we going and supporting more population, this mining will not stop. Okay, and in the process, from each ton of phosphate, we're getting around 4 tons, between 4 to 5 tons of the gypsum, the phosphogypsum.
Which is affecting the marine life and affecting.
It depends how exactly. It depends how you're treating it.
Yeah.
So why it's kind of a bad material? First of all, you have all kind of impurities inside, like remains of the phosphoric acid, sulfuric acid, and in some cases also remains of some heavy metals like radium, because it comes from the nature, from the mining process. So now all of those impurities are stuck in very soluble material that's called gypsum. And because of that, it's really a big environmental problem globally.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about volumes, just to understand, try to give our audience some kind of, if I will ask anyone here, how 1 ton of solid material, let's say sand, look like, most of us will be able to give a quite clear, reasonable answer. Okay, it's kind of a box, let's say 0.5 meter and 0.5 meter and 0.5 meter, kind of. If I will fill it with the concrete, it will be, let's say, 1 ton. Okay, and I will ask most of the people in the West how 50 ton look like, and they say it's the double truck. Double truck, it's a 50 ton. Great, I have it in my mind. In the case of Australia, I think maybe 100 ton it will be also fit, because you have those trains, this truck trains that are carrying more than double.
Yes.
But
yes.
This is the Australia case. But when I will ask you, B, how do you think 1,000,000 ton look like? You don't have any clue.
No.
It's very hard to imagine it, but we're talking about really mountains. Okay. Now the world piling up every year 300,000 tons of this waste.
Yeah, you did say
So 300 million tons, sorry. 300 million tons.
It's crazy.
Of this waste. It's completely unreasonable. Now, in the case of Israel, for example, they piling in the desert. Okay. It's still a problem, but they piling in the desert, it's not leaching much. Okay. In the case of Florida, they piling it around Tampa. So you have 24 mountains in the US around Tampa in Florida of this waste of 1 billion tons that are piled. So 7 billion and almost, I think next year we're going to be already in 8 billion tons of this waste piled all around the world. Now, in countries less developed or less with lower awareness, like Tunisia, in North Africa, not far from Sicilia, like 300 kilometers from Sicilia, from Italy, they have two factories in this nice bay, or was nice bay 20 years ago. And this bay was completely killed, okay? Because they piled this waste to the sea. They piled this gypsum every day for the last 20 years, around 800 trucks a day to the sea. Okay, with the pipes, of course. Not the trucks, but the pipes.
It's terrible.
So, terrible. I think it's the worst environmental event today in the Mediterranean area. It's what's happening now in Tunisia, but it's already affecting very hard on the people there.
Mm. And so Airovation is basically working with the heavy industries to find solutions for circular. So that's the value chain piece, right? In terms of rather than it becoming a dump and a wasting ground,
we are using it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're not recycling it. You're creating a circular economy solution that is economical and environmental.
You're right. You're right. We're taking this waste.
Yeah.
And by taking this waste in use, we're solving one huge problem that I really fully seeing it as a mission, not as a job. To find a solution for that.
Yeah.
It is a mission. But on the other hand, to make a use of it, we need to change it. We need to change this material. We need to add to that something. What we're adding? We're adding a carbon dioxide. So everybody worrying about the climate and the global warming, and everybody trying to get rid of the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is released from many industrial manufacturers, from their chimneys. If you're now refining oil and creating hydrogen, creating steel, all of those are emitting quite a lot of CO2, billions of tons. Now, sometimes people, again, have some hard time to imagine because they don't see CO2 with their eyes, okay? You can see the gas.
Yeah.
So sometimes people are confused that they can stand on the stage and they will say, hey, we will capture 1 billion ton of CO2 and we will push it under the ground. Okay? But I'm usually telling them, guys, if it's easier for you to think that 1 kilo of steel and 1 kilo of carbon dioxide, it's 1 kilo, think about the steel. Mass, it's a mass. Okay, it doesn't matter what material. Mass, it's a mass. 1 kilo, it's 1 kilo. 1 ton, it's 1 ton. So once you're trying to take the carbon dioxide, let's say anyone that's saying we are doing carbon capturing, we are, saving now the world with carbon capturing, I think two questions have to be asked. First, what are you doing with the carbon? What you doing with the carbon that you captured?
Yes.
Okay. And the second, we're not going deeply on that. It's show me the economics. Or show me who's going to be paying for that. On what are your assumptions? So we didn't went to the approach that our assumption going to be relying on.
I lost you again. I've lost your sound.
Now it's better?
Yeah, that's better now. Yeah, yes.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm saying we didn't started our approach with kind of assumption that big penalties on carbon will be coming and they're going to be a mandatory on those manufacturers, and now they will have to buy the credit from us the credit. Okay, this is not how we're seeing it. So we're seeing that we are supporting by taking their emissions, taking the CO2 from their emissions, okay, and connecting the CO2 to the gypsum, to this waste gypsum, to the phosphogypsum, and by creating this process that we managed to create, we're creating actually two materials. we're creating, as you mentioned, calcium carbonate, okay? And it can be in different purities, okay? The precipitated going to be created from more synthetic or natural gypsum. But, calcium carbonate we need for our roads, for concrete. So it's one of the most usable material globally. And once we are creating from 1 ton of CO2 and 3 tons of phosphogypsum, we're creating 2 tons of calcium carbonate and 2 tons of sulfuric acid. We're also avoiding the need of new mining of
Yeah.
calcium carbonate, the
Yeah.
natural one.
We
Okay,
just,
so the benefit is huge,
yeah.
but with this benefit, sometimes you're creating value, but not everyone can understand or would like to even monetize your value. Let's say I'm coming to the hydrogen plant, okay, and I'm offering them. I say, listen, I will do a carbon capture. I will point source. I will take the emissions from your chimney, and now you will have clean hydrogen, okay, in cheap price. Not everybody is aiming, but I will produce on your site sulfuric acid, calcium carbonate. In most of the cases, even if they have a great value, they will push it out. They will push it back because they are not selling calcium carbonate. They don't selling sulfuric acid. This is not their value chain. Okay, they are not at that value chain, and people in those, especially in conglomerates, are not trying to, bridge the borders or the barrier, kind of the frameworks that they're working in.
But I
So
mean, I'm conscious that we could keep talking and talking about this.
yeah,
We've already talked for nearly 45 minutes. But I love where you've come from, your background in military services, and you said at the very beginning, we're not the center of the universe. And here you are, you're not an engineer, you're not a scientist, but here you
I'm
are,
not.
you've got a huge imagination, and you decided when you retired from military services not just to retire, but to go, right, what problem, what real world problem can I solve? And here you are solving a problem. But also for me, listening to you and understanding this in a lot more detail, I feel like I could now go away and, you know, do a one page presentation on it in the most
Yeah,
simplest
yeah.
form. But what I love is that you are creating almost like this, and you might just roll your eyes or go, "What is she talking about?" But it's almost like it's borderless, but it's like you're wanting to create this peace within from a global. You're wanting to align globally and create this peace within the issues that we're having when it comes to climate, when it comes to environmental, economical. Do you know what I mean? And bringing everyone together so
So
that
this is a big challenge. You're right.
we're eliminating waste. You're basically eliminating, you talked about China already doing it, but you're talking about like, let's remove the word waste full stop. And rather than just recycling, it
Yeah,
becomes
I
a
agree with
circular
you.
economy, and you're creating a whole value chain, a global value chain.
But you have to add to that another point. As I mentioned, those hard to abate industries, okay,
Mm,
have limited margins. And because of that, it's very hard to enforce, okay, it's very hard to enforce on them a lot of changes. And it's very hard to bring them
yeah,
to do huge investments on something that is just environmentally. It will not work.
no,
It will not work. You have to show that you're really creating a value, and you bringing those pieces in the chain, and you're creating this
yeah, you're
local
connecting
cluster,
it all together, interconnecting it.
interconnecting it. You're creating you're showing exactly who is responsible on what, who is taking what, who is gaining from what economically. So first of all, it have to be economically. It have to
Yeah,
be stable economically. On
yeah,
top of that, then you can really leverage the environmental impact.
yeah,
But you have to really go, and it's hard because it takes you around two years to date with those
yes.
companies in each region. It's long dating, like crazy. I mean, especially with the Korean and the Japanese. I tell them, listen, we are dating so long. In normal life, already was supposed to have at least 2 kids. So it's
Like the
like two,
research
3
piece I talked to you about at the start. Oh
it's
my
two,
goodness.
3 years. It's 2, 3 years just to able to put all of those involvement kind of companies around the same table and split the responsibility between them and get their acceptance and lawyers and all this thing that of paperwork that had to be done when you're launching this project forward. Yeah, it's heavy capex project. In some point, for example, in Israel, after I managed to bring those energy sector and fertilizer sector to overlap, now the government is coming in some sense with
Yeah,
some
because
delay.
well, look at you. Like I said, you're ex-military. You know what to do. You know how to bring people together. You know how to bring the troops together. And you're almost
That's what I.
you're rallying the troops again. You're just pulling them all together, which I absolutely love. I have two final
Yeah, please.
questions for you
Yeah,
because we're
I'll be
gonna
good.
have to do a follow-up, and I think we'll
Yeah,
do another pod interview. In six
and we'll
months.
find a time to meet face to face, please, for sure.
Yeah,
In
but
Israel or in Australia.
yeah, for sure. But I guess for me, what keeps you going? Like, I know that you obviously have family and that, some days when you're like, you don't get your sleep. But what is it? What keeps you, as much as this keeps you awake at night, what actually keeps you going on this mission you're on?
A strong belief that we will able to do create a big change. A belief.
Yeah,
That's
I
what keeps
believe
me
you.
going.
You've got me.
So
I believe you.
the belief, and of course, it's also a people, the team that you're working with.
Yeah.
Your people have to have the same belief, and they have to push it. And they, as I mentioned, especially for startup, it's very tough because this long journey. You have a lot of risk of kind of embedded risk of stops. People changing. Even you're losing your champion in the organization that you are working with because he moved and now you're starting from in some sense from scratch from
Again.
the beginning.
Yeah.
It's happening. This is the reality. You will not able to do nothing except trying to mature in several regions parallel. Okay, so we are maturing in several regions. We're maturing now in Israel, in Japan, in Korea, and in Europe, as I mentioned. Hopefully soon in Australia as well. There is some discussion about India. India, I think it's also a very interesting region that have to be focused. And except maturing in parallel, I think another principle that we brought in, it's cross-sector or cross-cluster
Mm.
knowledge.
Yeah.
So the idea is that each area that getting knowledge and getting now, conclusions from scaling up will share this knowledge to others.
Yeah.
Will not keep it the
No.
kind of very tight to ourselves only. And this is a very strong principle that we are pushing forward because that's how we're able to scale it. That's kind of how we believe.
Okay, fascinating. And then final question, or
Please.
what what do if you reflect on your leadership back in the military services, from your previous world that you were in, what's one core leadership trait that you've taken forward with you into this new world you're in and this new, I shouldn't say new because you've had the business for a while, but like what is one thing that you've carried through to you that's always been a leadership trait of yours that you would encourage anyone who is a leader or a founder or an entrepreneur that they need to have?
So I think the first thing is to really with the peace inside with your goal that you choose. Okay. You decided now that you're reaching or you're aiming to a goal. Do it with full heart. Okay. Get all in.
Yeah, love
Okay.
it.
If you're not getting all in, it will not move forward. The people that are you trying to bring will not come with you because they will feel that you are not all in. Okay, everything is about feeling. So be all in believe in what you're doing. Okay, choose a good goal. We don't know how long we are here.
No, we
Okay,
don't.
we don't know how long we are here. So choose a good goal, the one that's really worth to wake up in the morning. Be all in and really don't think about yourself as again as the center. You have to build this team You have to work very collaborative. The knowledge is spread between many peoples. It's not just in your head. So this is the main issues.
Yeah, it's so true. So good, Marat. How do we find out more about? I've got your video. I don't know if I'm allowed to share that though, but how do we find out more about
You can, of course, you can share.
Airovation? How do we find out more about you? Where do we go?
So of course you have the website www.airovation
Yeah, I've got
tech.com.
it. Yeah, I'm making sure
Okay.
you're reading it out, but I've already got it in my show notes.
Yeah,
So,
and you can see it on the web and through we're quite publishing things on LinkedIn as well, and meeting people. We traveling quite a lot, mainly in Asia Pacific. I think some things will be moving forward as well now in North America, in Canada,
yeah, cool.
in the coming year. So yeah, the coming year it's a scale up here. So I think it
Exciting.
started well already. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're quite optimistic.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. I just love this embracing failure. I just think it and walking in the fog. Like I'm gonna use that one this year. You've just got to walk through that fog.
Excellent,
You just have to. And we're in this
excellent.
non-linear world. Marat, it's just been I really have thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you and just like learning. Like, I mean, so many of these conversations I'm having with everybody on the podcast, like we're all sharing our lived experiences and our insights and, what we're
Mhm.
doing. And I think that, in this new world, we need all these different trailblazers that are shaping and reshaping. And, like, we're the mission is the mission, and it has to be a big one, doesn't it? It has
Have
to
to,
come from a place. Mm.
and in many cases, the problem is not just really local problems. In many
No,
cases, the problems are global. They're just maybe shown differently in different regions, but we need to create a better world.
we do. That's exactly right. And here we are. So,
Yeah.
Marat, thank you so much for your
Thank you very
time.
much,
And I
B.
look
It was a
forward to
pleasure.
a second installment, whether it's in person doing the pod in person or whether it's
Excellent.
through tech.
Excellent. Maybe we'll be able to do it next time from the field in some sense, in one of the sites that we're scaling.
Yeah, that'd be
Thanks.
amazing. Yeah, I love it. Thank
Thank you,
you.
B.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
We'll
Thank
be in
you.
touch. Take
Bye.
care.